Has Stats played his final season of GSL? Is Hero Marine's reign of terror in Europe finally over? And why the hell am I wearing a button-up if I'm wearing sweatpants? All of these questions will be answered in today's episode of The Road to Katowice. Is this the road to Katowice? I could really go for some pizza. Is this the way to Katowice? And the money that waits for me. This week's GSL Code A matches continued 5 best of 5s to try and qualify into the Code S round of 16, and all of these matches could pretty much go either way. However, there was one match which not only surprised me in result but also saddened me a little bit, because it has been rumored that Stats is going into his final season of GSL, or was going into his final season of GSL, as mandatory military servers is around the corner for him. And he didn't manage to beat out Bunny, who I consider the weaker player than Stats. And especially if you match up their two styles, I always thought that Stats was very good defensively, and Bunny was known as an aggressive, a little bit of a gimmicky player as well. But in their series, Bunny, with some creative strategies, managed to beat Stats in what very well could be his last season of Code S. And it really would be a shame for a player of the stature and caliber of Stats to be knocked out like this in his final season of GSL. So I'm hoping it's not the case, but it isn't looking too good right now. This week we saw the kickoff of the World Team League 2021. The regular season has started, in which 12 teams will be battling for a couple of playoff spots. First week had no real upsets, but we should definitely keep an eye on that, as there's going to be some interesting matches next week as well. Then of course moving on to the EPT Cups. Now this week's EPT Cups in Europe, for what I want to say is the 5th time in a row now, saw no Hero Marine in the finals. And maybe to some of you that's a surprise, but Hero Marine is known as the Mr. EPT Cup Weekly, as he has the most EPT Cup wins out of anyone so far. He has 26. Clem and Solar share a second place with 19 wins each, but Clem quickly is catching up, as out of the last 5 cups in Europe, Clem managed to win 4 of them. This week, once again, he managed to beat out Kung Fu Banda in the finals and take his 19th win. Moving on to America, we actually saw a couple of upsets. We saw Spatz, the German Protoss player, the young one, take out Zest in one of the earlier matches. And eventually we saw Special take it by beating out Solar in the semifinals and beating Eric in the finals. In Korea, we saw Ragnarok take the cup home after a disappointing performance, losing to Hurricane in the GSL Code A match. He managed to take the ESL Cup, which is going to be a little bit of a consolation prize for him. At least takes home $200. Doesn't get any EPT points yet this week. This will be the end of the off-season of the EPT Cups, as next week the new season of the ESL Pro Tour will start again. We'll have a bigger explanation in next week's video on how that will work. But from next week on, those cups will give EPT points again. This week's game of the week wasn't a game that was brilliant or beautiful or even good. It just was chaotic. It was dumb, and I had a great time watching it. It was, of course, game 3 between Dark and Parting, played on Dead Aura. Parting starting off with a cannon rush, going into Proxy Void Race with batteries while stealing Dark's gas. Gas going for a Spine Crawler defense with Queen Spores, and eventually leading into the weirdest Baneling bust I've seen in a long time, which almost managed to work, but in the end, Parting did manage to take it home. If you haven't seen this game and if you haven't seen that series, the whole series is completely recommended, but that game in particular is something else. There's a 15-minute pause in the game as well, which made the pause even longer than the game itself. It's pure chaos, absolute confusion, shock, and horror. As every single week, except for last week, we're going to have a zoom in on a player as well, and this week's player is going to be Hurricane. Now, Hurricane made his debut in 2012 already, but he never really had brilliant results. 2019 felt like the year where he finally broke out. He had a good round of 4 performance in the GSL. Then in 2020 at the start, he managed to get a top 12 position for Katowice as well. But then after that, it feels like he kind of slows down again and kind of drifts back into obscurity. This time around, he managed to take out Ragnarok 3-2. The games didn't look too convincing, but whenever I see Hurricane play, I always feel like there's something waiting there. There's some potential underneath the surface of kind of bland Protoss play that I always feel like he has solid mechanics, he obviously has a good brain in his head. His strategies are kind of cool sometimes. He likes to make his own strategies. And he's just someone that I want to see get far, but it just doesn't really seem to come out. So I hope that this time around, perhaps this GSL season, we're going to see more of this guy. In the upcoming week, we're going to have another round of the World Team League 2021 of the regular season. We're going to have a single group of codes on the Monday, the 5th. Group A will be played. And of course, we're also going to be having 3 EPT Open Cups next week in the new season of the EPT. So I'm really looking forward to this. I hope you guys are as well. But before we leave you, here's the clip of the week by Hero Marine, getting one hell of a Widow Mine hit.
Honestly, it is not that bad because he doesn't have gases. Oh my god! You. Oh my god! I just killed an entire mob.
Thanks everyone for watching another episode of The Road to Katowice. If you did enjoy, don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the share button as well. Be sure to share it on your MySpace, your dick feed. And talk to your friends about it on TeamSpeak. That's going to be it for today. And bye-bye.